Hello, everybody. Today we have a brand new housing article fresh off the Blizzard presses. I'm excited to dive into it. We'll see what's going to be happening with World of Warcraft housing. This will likely be the last piece of big housing news we get until Gamescom, whenever Midnight is revealed. So, with that in mind, let's dive in, see what we think, and start speculating. Welcome home, adventurers, or in this case, welcome to the neighborhood, adventurers. So far in our series of articles, we've shared information on our philosophy, decorating, and rewards for housing in World of Warcraft. But it's time to bring you into the neighborhood. Briefly mentioned in our first post on housing, let's get into the nitty-gritty of what neighborhoods are and how they work. Before we dive into things, our usual disclaimers apply. Neighborhoods are a work in progress, so names, images, numbers, timing, and more may change between now and when housing is released. Our goal in sharing this ahead of time is to get your feedback, so please let us know what you think. This land is your land. As a quick refresher, homes in World of Warcraft are separated into two neighborhood zones: Founders Point for the Alliance and Razorwind Shores for the Horde. Each neighborhood is made up of roughly 50 plots of the same size, all of which contain a house. We want players with different preferences for locations to find a plot that's perfect for them, be they vibe based or looking for something for a specific character. Some plots are placed far away from everything for the hermits among us, while others are grouped together in small cul-de-sacs of 2 to 3 houses, perfect for a small group of friends. Other houses are in larger groupings for folks looking for more hustle and bustle. Similarly, there's a variety of biomes in each zone, ranging from Founders Point's spooky forests and autumnal farmland to lush oases and windswept bluffs in Razorwind Shores. In both neighborhoods, you'll find a dynamic central hub area full of both NPC activity and endeavors. Keep reading. An important consideration for us, and one of the reasons these zones are so big, is we want to give players ample space. Partly because having a yard that you can decorate really lets people express themselves, but also because we wanted to make sure there's enough room between the plots that didn't run afoul of each other's yards. You won't have to worry about your neighbor's old growth tree jutting through your delicately constructed hedge maze. So here in the first part, they're really reiterating on a lot of the things that have been established previously. Each of these biomes, so to speak, is going to be very large. Each of these zones are going to be pretty big. They're going to have a lot of different bits within them. For example, the one now referred to as Founders Point for the Alliance was previously referred to as a mix between Westfall, Duskwood, and Elwyn Forest. So that's three, cohesive biomes in terms of like they're very similar. They do have very different vibes depending on where you are in them. And here, actually, in the pictures, I think is a good demonstration of that. So in these three areas, we have the three different vibes that sort of align with this, the theming of the zone. You have the one here at the top with Westfall looking, the apple trees, which look really nice, are kind of tied to Elwyn as well. Then we have Duskwood, which looks much more dark and brooding. I love seeing these updated textures on all this. And then this last area, which is kind of a mix of Elwyn and Westfall. I say Westfall because when I think of Westfall, I think of the bluffs on the coast there. And seeing this sort of cliff type thing really looks cool. And I think that's going to be one of those spots that's very coveted among people that are settling in this neighborhood. All right. Next area, housing organizations in Azeroth, HOA. It's not just a question of where you choose to live, but who you choose to live near. That's important. And don't worry, there aren't actually any HOAs here, unless players choose to implement them. Neighborhoods are persistent, so anyone you live near will be your neighbor forevermore, making this decision important, though you can move at any time, so don't worry too much. This allows your neighborhood to be customized, and you can work with other players to progress it together. There are two types of neighborhoods. The first is public neighborhoods. These are created as needed by the game servers, and anyone can buy a house in them. As they fill up, new instances are created, so players looking for a house shouldn't see a message about all the neighborhoods being full. The first is public neighborhoods. These are created as needed by the game servers, and anyone can buy a house in them. As they fill up, new instances are created, so players looking for a house shouldn't see a message about all the neighborhoods being full. Public neighborhoods are run by the game as well, including naming it, with a semi-procedurally generated name. Organizing endeavors, again, see below, and keeping the neighborhood running however is needed. Then there's private neighborhoods. These are created and owned by players, either by guilds as guild neighborhoods or by arbitrary groups of players as charter neighborhoods. To create and maintain a private neighborhood, there's a minimum number of players, not characters, who must be in the guild or charter, as well as, eventually, a minimum number of players who must live in the neighborhood. This is due to technical concerns around server and database performance, as neighborhoods are significantly more complicated than a single instance. Guild and charter neighborhoods have largely the same functionality. They can be named by their owners, and the names do not have to be unique, though they do have delimiters to differentiate them from each other. Players control who can live in them. For guilds, this is via the guild roster. If a guild removes someone, the player will also be removed from a neighborhood. Charters have manual control over who can live there via special UI. There's a permission system for who can control the settings, membership, etc., and managing endeavors is the responsibility of the owner and managers. There's one big difference, however, between the guild and charter neighborhoods. Guild neighborhoods will have homes available for everyone in a guild through additional attached instances regardless of the guild size, while charters are limited to the maximum number of plots in a neighborhood. So for this section, it's really going more into the nitty-gritty of how these different neighborhoods function on a systems level. In this way, there's kind of three types, because there's public, private, and within private, there are the two subtypes of the guild and charter. So this is something that I think is cool. I'm really glad to see that for guilds, however this is going to be connected, in my mind, I'm thinking of this as like a never-ending sprawl of instances that they can load into, similar to how delves work. Like once you're in the guild neighborhood, the other ones are connected to it via like the no loading screen connectors, right? And the this allows them to just have as many players as is necessary. So you're not limited to that 50. It seems as if truly, if you have the guild limit of 999 people in your guild actually, right, then there can be 999 houses, which I think that's really cool, or 900 or whatever that limit is, right? For the charter neighborhoods, I am a little concerned about the minimum number of players who must live in the neighborhood. I don't know about how everyone plays WoW, but I know for a long time I just had like a very small group of friends who I played WoW with. And if the minimum is like, for example, 10, that's going to be a lot harder to reach than maybe like 3 to 5. And I do understand why they're setting that limit. It just means, unfortunately, that we may have more people in public neighborhoods than who would wish to be. One thing I am hoping from public neighborhoods is that there is a good way to join a public neighborhood together. So it sounds as if there's going to be names identifying these neighborhoods. So maybe you and your friends can all load into the same public neighborhood and find 3 plots within that specific neighborhood. And if we can do that, I think that really gets rid of a lot of my concerns with that, because as long as you can be in the same neighborhood, I don't think most people really care if it's private to be public. Here we also see some, I believe these are the first pictures that we have seen of the horde housing at all. It's very cool. I like this first picture. We're showing that it's not going to be just like the desolation that is Duratar. I think everyone can agree that if the horde housing was mostly based around that, it would be very boring. We are also seeing these like beautiful lush trees, very reminding of like Ajara, kind of like up into like you're going towards the Hyjal border there. I like seeing this Blood Elf tower in the background. I am a little wary that with both of these housing options here, I believe we're only seeing 2 exteriors. So for the horde housing, it looks like it's just this one horde. And if we scroll up here, yeah, this looks like it's the same alliance house. So I wonder if that's just for the point of showing off that like this is maybe the default and you can edit it greatly, which is what I'm hoping, since I see this little Blood Elf thing here in the background. I know whenever a bunch of those content creators had the that private preview they did, I noticed there was like a Night Elf tower in the background. I'm hoping that you can make your exteriors look more than just human v orc, because I think that's a huge bummer, at least for me personally, and I think a lot of other people would agree. However, everything here looks great in terms of the landscape and the different locations. It's interesting to see here these summoning stones. it seems as if one of these might be in front of, I don't know if it's maybe like an optional thing in front of every plot, as it's only in this one picture. But if you can have a summoning stone in front of your house, that's really cool. Because if you want to do some sort of like event at your house, you can just start forming, a raid group or whatever the limit in terms of amount of people is going to be, and just start summoning people there, right? If you have like a big RP event or something to that effect. The next section here we have is Don't You Be My Neighbor? Two questions that we've gotten a number of times that we want to quickly answer. What happens if I don't like my neighbor/neighborhood? We designed this to be frictionless and straightforward, so you can just get up and move. You can choose to relinquish a house at any time, at which point your house's state will be saved, ready to be unpacked, with a click when you purchase a new house elsewhere. When you move out, there's a regret timer started, so if you change your mind before purchasing a new house, you can move right back in. Once you buy a new place or the timer elapses, your old house will go back up for sale and another player can buy it. It's worth calling out that if you are evicted from a private neighborhood, your house is also packed up too. And then number 2, can people just walk into my yard/house? It depends. We want your house to be your space and for you to feel safe there. But you also recognize that some people are more social. To that end, both your plot and your house have independent permissions that can be set to allow or deny friends, guildmates, neighbors, or anyone. This lets you, for example, allow anyone onto your plot, but only friends and guildmates inside. Of course, these permissions can be changed at any time. If you want to make it private for a book club meeting in the afternoon and then open it up for a dance party at night. These permissions are frequently checked, so if you do change them, it will remove anyone whose permissions are no longer valid. These things are cool. The one concern I have with the swapping neighborhoods is I hope that there isn't too much friction there. I know they do say it's designed to be frictionless. Specifically what I'm saying is they do mention purchasing. If there is a gold cost associated with buying a house, and if that is too high, that could be a source of friction. Because I know a lot of people don't have like a whole lot of gold to just be able to willy-nilly move. And a lot of people might be moving neighborhoods a lot to try and find a specific one that is going to be active, right? Because maybe a lot of these neighborhoods start dying, right? Because they mention here that you're going to be in your neighborhood forever. So if people set up a house and then are never in it and maybe deactivate their account, then you're stuck with a neighbor who isn't doing anything. Which that's going to be more relevant as we talk about this next section here. So this is the part where we talk about endeavors. Endeavors are a neighborhood-wide activity open to anyone who lives in the neighborhood. Endeavors occur approximately once a month, and when a new endeavor becomes available, the neighborhood is provided with the opportunity to learn from various cultures and factions of Azeroth by completing different tasks. Players in private neighborhoods can choose from a selection of endeavors, though occasionally a set endeavor appears to highlight things happening in the world. In public neighborhoods, the game's servers are responsible for choosing which endeavors are active. Each endeavor has a group of tasks that are collectively completed by the neighborhood. As tasks are completed, more NPCs from that area show up, making various themed decorations available to the neighborhood inhabitants, or even visiting players from other neighborhoods, and the neighborhood changes visually to be decorated in that faction's fashion. The number of tasks required scales with neighborhood size, so a 50-player neighborhood will have to complete more tasks than a 10-player neighborhood. Similarly, if a neighborhood is less active, future endeavors for that neighborhood will also scale their requirements down to accommodate. The tasks themselves run the gamut of gameplay, from crafting to gathering, to questing, to completing dungeons or raids. We want there to always be a way for any given player to contribute to the endeavor, regardless of how they choose to engage with World of Warcraft. Successfully completing tasks not only yields rewards expected from that sort of tasks gameplay, but also grants a new type of endeavor currency, which is shared across all endeavors, as well as neighborhood favor. Neighborhood favor is used to level up your house and earn rewards, while the endeavor currency is used to buy decorations from visiting NPCs, in either your neighborhood or in your friends' neighborhoods. Once enough tasks have been completed in an endeavor, the entire neighborhood is rewarded together, with bonus endeavor currency and neighborhood favor, as well as the ability to purchase all the decorations at the NPC, provided players have sufficient currency. Our goals for endeavors are threefold. To give the neighborhood a common goal to rally around and be rewarded for it collectively. It feels good to complete things together, and we want to encourage both synchronous and asynchronous play with your neighbors. To give neighborhoods a choice in how things are visually presented on a larger scale, not just in individual player-owned plots. And introduce some asymmetry between neighborhoods to make visiting other neighborhoods more interesting. Okay. So this is the thing that I think in this housing system, this is the thing that if it does not hit the mark, it is most likely to put a bad feeling in everyone's mouth about housing. I have a lot of complicated feelings about my first initial hit against this. I think the first thing is this idea of FOMO. That's something that I'm really bad at feeling. I fall to it a lot. I think the idea of visiting other neighborhoods is cool in order to see differences there. However, this almost feels like it will be an obligation to go to these other neighborhoods to make sure that you're able to get all the different furniture. Because explicitly, specific furniture types will be locked behind this. And if you're saying my public neighborhood hasn't done this ball straw event, for example, if it's not in the rotation for a while, that I will have to visit a private neighborhood to do so. And I think the real difference maker there will depend on how hard or easy it is for these endeavors to be for the neighborhoods to be visited. So if you can visit just a random neighborhood pretty easily, I think this makes this less friction. But if this relies on you having a bunch of friends that have a bunch of different neighborhoods in order to make sure that you're hitting all the endeavors that you want to hit to get all the furniture that you want to get, that sounds like a design choice that may not need to be there. Just because it is something that it is seeming like they're saying once a month, right? So if you can only access these on a monthly basis, that kind of sucks. Just from a perspective of being able to decorate the house how you want. I don't know. The specifics might make this better. We'll have to see how it all shakes out. I'm cautiously optimistic. We'll see. That's where my big concern is I definitely see what they're going for. I think I just disagree with the necessity of it. And maybe I'll change our mind once we get our hands on this. Another note, though, this looks really sick. This house dashboard thing. The things that I think are interesting to me are the house drop down, which I understand that you'll have two houses, right? One on the Horde side, one on the Alliance side. This makes me think, what if maybe they will allow you to have more? Because I don't know. They've so far indicated that that's not an option. I just really hope, because that's another thing that would actually help this a lot. Because the idea of being able to have, I don't think limitless is the way to go. But since you have this housing level up system, what if you could level up the ability to be able to buy another plot in a new neighborhood? I think that'd be cool. Just that way not everyone's doing it, and it is locked behind progression. But I think that might be a good middle ground, since we are going this progression route with what looks very similar to the renown trees we've gotten. Yeah. I don't know if any of this makes sense. But I hope that if you guys have any other thoughts on this, please let me know down below. Housing is this thing that I've never experienced before because I've never played an MMO that has had it, but it's something I've always wanted, and I don't know what are the big issues that have existed before with these types of systems. I'm just going off my first reactions here. Just here at the end, time to get out of town. This is just the start of what we're planning for neighborhoods and endeavors. Having a large-scale, persistent multiplayer space and the ability for players to collectively contribute to it is truly exciting for us, and we can't wait to build on it with you. What do you find most exciting? Keep the feedback coming, and we'll see you next time. Overall, I am excited about endeavors because the idea of working something as a team, as a neighborhood, is really cool. I am just, again, nervous about like the ability to actually complete, like, because let's say, for example, you're the only one in your neighborhood that really loves like the corrupted druid stuff, right? And you really want to have this stuff at your house, and no one wants to mess with the Valshara Endeavor. Like, does that mean you have to relocate your house to a public neighborhood whenever the Valshara Endeavor comes up? That way you can like buy all the stuff, or like visit a public neighborhood during that time. I don't know. It might be less friction than I'm thinking. I'm just that's where my one thing is. Anyways, thank you all for watching. If you have any thoughts about housing and what you're excited for, what you're nervous about, let me know down in the comments below. If you want to see more of these types of videos, go ahead and let me know as well. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you didn't like it, hit that downvote button or dislike button. And subscribe to see more. Thank you, and see you next time.